Hello. Well, welcome to all the feels. I am Patricia Angelin of Alba Technique, and while you are listening to me right now, what you are looking at are some very beautiful lilies, and the scent here at the Alba Technique studio is absolutely divine. So let us turn the camera around and you can see my own face, and we can begin. We can begin again. So, hello, and welcome to all the feels. I had one question come in today via email, and the querent wasn't purposely, wanting it to be in all the feels, but it did bring up a very interesting question to me that I thought I might like to speak with you about. And that is the querent was wanting to take one of my international trainings over in the United Kingdom, and said, and clearly, to this person's credit, was really looking at the website, really, reading what's on there and really looking at it. Because the question is, if I take one of your intensives, what about the journaling requirement? You have a requirement that I have to journal, and I am dyslexic, and writing is just really not all that great a thing for me. And if I go through the, what I have to go through in order to put things in writing, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with my writings? So from an emotional standpoint, this is really very much two questions. The first one being, I'm afraid I can't meet the requirements of your class. And I think all of us have limitations, and all of us at one time or another have real feelings about our personal limitations. Oh my goodness, we could put limitation, fill in the blank. And some of them are lifelong struggles that we have as individuals. Others come about at a certain point in our life and then have a time, and then they go away, and we're done with that particular challenge. But something like dyslexia, sorry, I just realized I put on lipstick very like an old lady, up like this. So it really, we struggle, all of us, with limitations of one kind or another. It's part of the human condition, and it's part of the human condition that we have the most feelings about. We have feelings about our limitations. And if the limitations, particularly so, I think, if the limitations are placed on us from the outside, we can get very, very frustrated in our feelings. Those of us who are members of unions, we really get this, because we've got union leadership, we've got boards of directors, we've got, all kinds of committees giving all kinds of reports, and we didn't elect these people. We have no say in what it is they are doing. All of these things get us agitated in feelings, because what is the outcome going to be? So going back to the feelings about the particular querent who has dyslexia and wants to know, is the querent going to have to journal? Because I have put it on my website as that journals are required. Well, it's a very interesting question. We all have different learning styles, as we know. Now, way back in the dark ages when I was going to school, there was not the understanding. It was just coming into the world that people have different learning styles, it's come to be called. So some people are kinetic. If you don't get them to physically do something with their hands, or go out on a field trip or something like that, it's just not going to stick with them. Some people are oral. And I think more people used to be oral than are now. And there's always been a split in the population. There's no way we're going to prove any of this stuff. But just from my personal observations over these many years, and I know I've got a teacher on the line right now. So greetings, oh great master teacher. You know who you are. The dealing with different students who have different learning styles, the oral, the visual, the kinetic learning styles. There are probably other ones that I'm not thinking of right now. And then there is the additional challenge of teaching persons, as I am doing at Alba Technique. We're dealing with your limbic system of your brain, but we're also dealing with your own emotions, of what your own blockages are in order to deal with your emotions, but in order to deal with life. And if one is dyslexic, or in my case has dyscalculia, which would be I was going to say a disorder. It's not really a disorder. It's a different kind of wiring. So those of you who are dyslexic have a kind of a wiring where the synapses in your brain are not meeting in a way that empower you to easily deal with words that are written down in front of you. They turn around, they turn upside down, they're in and out, the brain just doesn't make quick sense of them. Unlike a brain like mine, which is very text and word oriented. I have no trouble with that at all. But the flip side is, those of you who have dyslexia, I have dyscalculia. So put a number in something and oh, poor Pat. Poor Pat has the exact same problems with numbers that you have with letters and words. So the answer to the question is, you work with yourself. That's always the answer to the question. So am I going to require you, querent, if you come to a training of mine, a workshop, an intensive that I do in London or in Ireland or any place else abroad or here in the United States of America in New York? No, I won't require it of you. But I do want to let you know why I put that in there, because a lot of people they have resistances, not dyslexia, just resistances. And part of what we're doing with working with you and the discovery of your emotions is figuring out what your personal resistances are and what they are too and how they're affecting you emotionally. Yay! Thus to free you from some of them. Will it free you from dyslexia? No, I don't think so. But what it can do is free you from the emotions you have surrounding the dyslexia that are negative, that are challenging for you on a day-to-day basis. Help you become more accepting of the wonderful way that you came into this world, the wonderful way that you're built. So this querent had also said, is there another way that we can do it? Could I do it by voice, or could I do it, in some other way? Well, interesting question. And when I am dealing with someone who tells me that he or she is dyslexic, I will certainly talk to that person, because I very much am on an individual basis with all of you in your learning and in your discoveries. The Alba emoting emotional effector patterns that Susanna Bloch and her colleague discovered to be neurologically standard or basic are universal, and that we've all got them, but the pathways that each one of us have built up over our lifetimes to go in and out of those 6 neurologically basic standard patterns is different. So we are working with your individual patterning in your body. And one of the things that I have found, which is why I have asked for a journal, is that it helps you and me communicate as to what you are observing in your body, because the work you'll be doing with me is so organic that you will once you achieve one thing or another, you'll forget that you ever didn't have it. And so then we can go back to your journal and go, okay, now I have here in my files, lovely querent, the question that you gave me on June what is the date today? June the 16th of 2021, at which time you said you couldn't journal because you were dyslexic. And yet I pushed you out of your comfort zone a little bit. And you just hit bullet points and wrote something that keyed your memory into what you felt in your body during those exercises. And then I could say, see, you didn't know this before, and now you did. See how far you've come? This is wonderful. And I have had this happen before many times. So the next question, answer to that question in full, is that when we're talking with each other, one-on-one, we will decide what we're going to do for you as an individual. And as Carl Jung, the great psychiatrist and one of the heirs of Sigmund Freud, said, if you can't dance it, sing it. If you have a creative block. of the different ways you can do it. You can dance something, you can sing something, you can write something, you can draw something. You could, so using different aspects of the faculties of the human being. If you can't get at something one way, you go at it another. And wonderfully enough, if you go at it that other way, sometimes this thing frees up in ways that you never expected. So it was a fear response. I must tell you, Querent, you were afraid that you would not be able to achieve in the modality that I am teaching at Alba Technique, and to do the Alba emoting emotional effector patterns. I can assure you, they're universally basic. No matter what our personal limitations are, we can do emotions. All of us, we can do emotions. Another thing that gets in the way sometimes is that people have breathing problems, asthma, or adenoidal things in the nose, this sort of thing. I've never found anybody that couldn't do this work the way I do it. It opens up your sinuses if they're clogged. It bypasses your deviated septum if it is deviated. If you're having lung problems, it gives you greater lung capacity, even if there's scarring in the lungs. It's just healthy. It's just good work and will not hurt you. The way I teach is predicated on first do no harm. Like the ancient, Maimonides, the great doctor Maimonides, and Galen and Hippocrates, first do no harm. And because we are dealing with human emotions, harm can get done pretty quickly to any one of us. Which brings me to another question. They didn't ask, but it's kind of implicit underlying. Am I safe to be doing this? People are so fearful right now post-pandemic, all of us. We're so easily triggered in whatever our triggers are to just want to pull up the covers around us and just like block out the whole world, or we want to go and fight the whole world and we don't even know how, but we just feel these imperatives inside. And then there are the limitations that for many reasons we can't, because we don't have the money, we don't have suddenly we don't have the time, we don't have the energy. Whatever the case is, one of the things in life that is great about learning this modality is the acceptance of yourself in a positive way that it creates for you, and as a unique individual. Fear isn't all bad in all situations. Sometimes it kicks us in the proverbial ass. We become afraid that we haven't done something. It might be as simple as, in my case, okay, I always use myself as an example, the large pile of papers that have been growing on my coffee table because I just am getting too tired, and so I put the mail on top, and then it grows and grows and grows, and of course the longer we don't do something that is ours to do, the tougher it gets to be to do it. So, but that kind of a fear, once I get that little bit, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, it is a little reminder. It is a little bit of a kick. And then I have to use that to go, now, Patricia Angela. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Get your posture up here. Make sure you're not, in an avoidance posture. And this is to clear my mind so that I can make a decision as to whether it is a good thing for me to go at that particular pile, or if maybe I am actually very physically tired and I need to go take a nap and pull the covers up over my head for a little while, or give myself a little bit of rest and relaxation in some kind of a really good and positive way, or feed myself some food before I try to tackle something, or drink some water or some vinegar and water with lovely raw honey in it. Cheers. Notice what I did there. I got my glass. I took a breath in through my nose. I'll do it again. I took a breath in through my nose. I drank. I felt the tongue, the lips, and the swallowing mechanism. 5 glugs I did. And then I let it go down and breathe out through the mouth. I'll do it again. That's a lot better. Because even I get excited talking to you about all this stuff. And that's an aspect of fear too. It's not a negative aspect. Not all fear, even all anxiety is entirely bad. Although anxiety is because it's the build up of fear responses in the way that my paper is built up on my coffee table. So that, I think, is it for today. I answered the question about dyslexia and journaling. Don't worry about it. When we're working together, it's a way for you and me to communicate. It's also a way for you to be able to have a record of some of the feelings you've had in your body and what you've observed. But it doesn't need to be flowing prose and narration. It can be, little signs and sigils, something that means nothing but to you. And obviously, I forgot to answer this part of the question. Obviously, I am not going to use your observations about your own physical body for anything other than communication with you. Should I be writing something for public consumption and I cite you, it would be so disguised and have something to do with so many other people other than you that you would just never even know that it was you. And if there was any way whatsoever where it could be traced back to you, anyway, even in the slightest way, I would explicitly ask you for your permission. And also whether you would like to be named or not, but even to use it at all, I would ask for your permission. So, fear not. We can go out into the unknown together. Because the unknown is what our emotions are. We sure feel them, but boy, oh boy, all of these feelings, they're so immediate in the moment, and they feel so overwhelming. And we all are in a moment right now where we want to go out and we want to do, and yet we need to relax, because this has been such a long struggle. And in some places the struggle is continuing. Just maybe ramped down a little more, but Ireland is still not open. Southern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, is still not open, so I will not be able to do my regular week-long intensive, which is the gold standard workshop for this work, but maybe I would be able to go in the fall. Maybe I would be able to go over to the UK, which is a little more open. We'll see. Querent, questioner, we shall see what we can do, so stay tuned. If any of you have any questions that you want to ask me about feelings, your own or other people, please do ask them right now before or otherwise we'll sign off if there's nothing else. I'm just going to wait for a second and shut my eyes and breathe. Nothing? Okay, then we will close for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can look at beautiful lilies and flickering candles. And thank you for joining Patricia Angelin and all of us at Alba Technique. There we are. Beautiful lilies, beautiful candles, wonderful books, just for you. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. And don't forget to look for beauty in your life in whatever form it can take. Look for it, find it, contemplate it. Let beauty lift you up. Let beauty help your feelings. Bye.